Hello, and welcome back to my garden. Today, we're going to do the flower garden tour. Last week, we did the veg garden tour for the springtime, and hopefully you guys watched it. If not, please go back, check it out. I got all sorts of good stuff growing in there, and hopefully by the time the summer rolls around, there's a lot more good stuff growing in there, which of course I'll bring you guys along for. Like I said, today, we're doing the flower garden tour, and here I am standing at the entrance to the flower garden. Now the flower garden takes up a small portion of the 1.5 acre property that I have. The flower garden is 60 feet across by 90 feet. Now what I've done this year is I've completed the borders, or almost completed the borders to this flower garden. The borders are approximately 8 feet deep, and I hope to have the entire area, the entire garden enclosed with 4-foot hedging in the next few years. It's going to take time for all the hedging to grow into place, probably anywhere from 3 to 5 years, and that, well, again, will enclose the flower garden. So now let's take a quick look at the flower garden as it stands now in spring of 2024. Okay, so the first area I'm going to talk about is my dahlia beds here. Right now it goes out over towards this corner, obviously, and then I hope to have it extend out a little bit further over this way along this bed because I love dahlias. These are all of my sort of named dahlias, things like Cafe au Lait, Ryan C, Bambino, things like that. I do have numerous other dahlias like Redskin or Bishop's Children, which are more of a mixed variety. And I have a few of those included in these beds too. But I also plant some of those varieties out elsewhere in the flower garden and the house flower beds. Some of the dahlias are starting to put on flowers right now, but many of them have not yet. They will over the next probably month or so. And so by the time I do my summer garden tour, if you guys like to see that, this bed should be really alive and rocking. A few things of note: many of these dahlias have come back overwintered in the ground. Again, I'm in growing zone 8B now. So the ground here never freezes, but I still have to heavily mulch the area just to ensure that nothing damages the tubers. That being said, I do have a few losses in these beds that I've noticed. So these things happen for various reasons. Ground gets too wet, plant tubers get too cold, they rot, maybe some sort of insect damage or something else. That is what it is. As you can see, nothing has happened with this area right here, but hopefully over the next few weeks / months, I can get this cut back, cardboard put down, and compost and mulch placed over this area. I will be planting into some of this area, but I don't have enough plants to plant into all of it this year. But that's fine. It gives me room to grow over the next few years to continue to add plants in as this space matures. Down here at the end, or at the break before the walkway into the rest of the garden area, I have various plants growing right now. I've got some Veronicas, Rudbeckias, dahlias, basils, mums, verbena, just sort of a mix mash. And that's really the theme of this entire garden, is just sort of I like to think of it as a loose cottage garden-y style. That's not what I'm aiming for. My general goal right now is just sort of grow the plants, get them in the ground, let them grow on. Perennials I can always dig up and move at a later point in time, especially as I get older. And then down the road, probably, you know, another 10 years or so, I'll probably wind up giving this garden space a pretty big overhaul over the course of a few years. And by that I mean I'll dig up maybe all of the Rudbeckias and put them in larger clumps, or I'll have large clump areas of red hot pokers, Veronicas, whatever it is that I'm growing, I'll have more defined clumps as opposed to them being scattered here and there. But for now, I'm just trying to get a lot of plants planted into the ground and find out what I like, what works, and what grows. Let's head down the row. Here we have more just random plantings, some more mums, more verbena. I think what I have in the back over here, I've got I got some agastache, I have pineapple lilies, and I have cannas here. I will probably wind up moving around quite a bit of this stuff, and some of this stuff has to be dug up anyways at some point in time to be divided generally. So If you're wondering about the pots here, my plan is, or was, to grow a variety of Russian sage called Blue Steel. It's supposed to be sort of a dwarf. It grows about 1.5 to 2 foot tall, and place that in these pots. Now the reason I'd be putting it into the pots is because the ground here, when we get rain, just gets too wet, too sodden, so the plants will never, the Russian sage will never really grow that well here. If it grows at all, because again, the ground just gets too wet. So my plan is that I have these bottomless pots. I will fill them with a gritty potting mix that I'll make, and then this way, if we get those heavy rains, all that water theoretically would go right through the potting mix into the ground, and thus the Russian sages would be happier here. Plus, it would add a little bit of height here at the entrance to the garden there, and I think that would be kind of neat. That's my plan, although I'm not having much luck right now with growing the Russian sage from seed, so we'll have to see what the future holds. Let's move down to the front border. In this corner right here, I hope to have Mexican sunflower growing in the next month or so. Some random zinnias. I sowed a bunch of different seeds here. No sign of any growth right now, and I'll probably give it another few weeks and then we'll see what happens. More zinnias. I purchased offline some clearance bulbs. I believe they are Crocosmia, Lucifer Crocosmia, if I'm pronouncing that right, and I do have some growth coming out of that. Not sure if you guys can see that, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops. Over here, random salvias, and over here I have some snapdragons. These are all baby seedlings, but hopefully by the summertime they're looking a whole lot better. And then here's some agastache. Behind the bench I'll have clary sage, and it's not going to look like much yet, but hopefully in time it starts looking pretty spectacular. And here are some of the privets that I have. They're very small, very difficult to tell. But hopefully in the next few years, because it does grow pretty quickly, they'll really start defining themselves. Some blank spaces here. I have some Rudbeckias, which aren't looking so hot. African daisies. They're looking pretty good. I have a penstemon. Now, even though we are getting into a shady spot right now, early in the morning, this area gets quite a bit of sun, and then late in the afternoon, this area gets quite a bit of sun. So this is only a partially shady spot. Where all the white tags are, and if maybe you can see some of them, there's a lot of foxglove. So hopefully next year, because these are all new, hopefully next year I have a pretty spectacular display of foxgloves back here. See, I have more salvias up front. And then I have some agapanthus. I'm not sure how the agapanthus are going to do back here with the partial shade, but we will find out. Up front I have some Pinto Mix Coleus, and they're doing quite well. In the corner, it's a lot of grape hyacinth, but recently I purchased from the local garden club a bunch of snowdrops. So hopefully next year they'll come up here and look pretty spectacular. And now we're getting into one of the not so new areas. This area is what I call the driveway side bed, because obviously my driveway is right there. And this area was new last year. So this year it's developing a little more, it's getting more mature, whereas the two areas we've already looked at, the street side and the, let's call it the orchard side, are new this year. So this last year was new. Again, random mixings of all sorts of plants and all sorts of stages of growing. And this year, I'm trying to fill in more of the empty spaces, like I mentioned on the other side, that I would eventually wind up doing. So I've planted all sorts of random plants, and I have a lot of plants that have come back this year, thankfully, that have survived the winter, that are helping to fill in the spaces. So let's take a quick look at them. So we got some foxglove. Down here, I have some more foxgloves, babies this year. Some snapdragons. I had more snapdragons over here, but they didn't seem to be too happy, so I moved them out. But these are doing all right, so I'm going to leave them for now. Daisies, which I just cut back, some of them already reblooming, reflushing, as you can see, looking pretty awesome. Blazing Star, nice little clump of Blazing Star. And then up front here, I have a calla lily called I can't pronounce that. Whatever it is, it's coming back. I planted it last year. Right behind it I have Royal Sunset Lily. So hopefully it's still in bloom when we do our summer tour. I have a crepe myrtle growing, and that hopefully in the next few years will be providing more shade to this area. So as the area gets more shady, I'll be moving many of these plants out to other locations in the garden. But for now, they get enough sun. Then I have some, a couple of dahlias. I think I have some green twister coneflower down there. So that'll be nice. More foxgloves back here. A bee balm, my red hot poker. Not sure if I'm going to dig this clump up or these clumps. There's multiple clumps here this year, but I may. I'll definitely dig them up next year if I don't dig them up this year. I think this is a green twister coneflower. Not sure. Gonna find out once it blooms. Behind it over here, I have some gladiolus. If I'm not mistaken, these are yellow Braval gladiolus. And then there's a bit of a gap. It's supposed to be some alliums back here, but again, on pretty much all the alliums I tried growing this year have not done well, have died off. Don't know what the story is there. Up front, a couple of lemon gem marigolds. Next to them, Mount Everest alliums. They didn't flower, but they have grown. They put on quite a bit of growth here, so we will see. Yeah, up front here, we have Royal Bride snapdragons. And then behind them, I have Rocket Orchid snapdragons. Now, many of these snapdragons are losing their flowers, and they're getting ready to go to seed. And I didn't know this until I read this someplace recently, but snapdragons do not enjoy the heat, so I'll probably be cutting them back for the summertime, and then they'll reflush again in the fall. And then I have another English daisy, followed by a funny little plant my wife saw at a local nursery. This is Amethyst Dream Mountain Cornflower. Blah. Say that 3 times fast. So hopefully that hangs in there and survives this year. And apparently it's supposed to be a perennial, so we'll find out about that. More mums and rosemary and the first sprinter and what hopefully will be a long line going down, creating the hedgerow here. When I started this flower garden, it just started with an 8x8 bed right here in this corner. And obviously it's grown since. I believe I stretched out this way first, and then I began going out towards you guys alongside the driveway here. And this is all part of my grand vision, but I took it in little baby steps, as it were. And I just kept adding plants and growing and filling things in and finding out what works and what doesn't work. And it's getting there. This is all I can say. So let's take a look at all these beds here, and then we'll wrap this up. Up front here, I have Apollo Dutch Iris. They were spectacular in the springtime. If you don't follow me on Instagram, give a follow on Instagram, because I posted quite a few pictures of these. Next to them, I have some English daisies, and then all around, drifting sort of towards the back, I had a lot of grape hyacinths. Obviously, the area looks pretty bland right now, and I'm going to have to address this. I don't have to address this, but I'm going to address this in the future by planting more stuff that'll give me flowers more year-round. In the back, I have some canna. There's a marigold, a snapdragon. There's another marigold. These are my red hot pokers right here. And pull that back so you can see that. There's 2 different varieties. That's why there's 2 different colors. I believe one is called Lucky. Not sure about the other one. Up front, Easter Candy Bearded Iris. I just recently learned that if all your rhizomes are facing south, you'll get better flowers or more flowers. So I'm gonna have to probably dig them up and move them around maybe this year. I just cut back this salvia. I believe this might be May Night. And then there's another one here, which I can't remember. And I think these other 2 down here are May Nights. These also need to be cut back. The bees are loving the flowers, or what remains of the flowers. In fact, there's a bee now. I don't know if you guys can see that. The red that you're seeing is Maltese Cross. And that's something I grew from seed last year, and it's doing pretty well. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I hope that over the next few years, it gets even better. In the back, I have some more snapdragons, a little clump of gladiolus, and then I have a variety of lilies, and along with some canna, which are doing their strange red flowers. But I have a variety of lilies, which again, hopefully when I do the summer garden tour, they'll just be spectacular. Along the front, I have some foxglove out in the blazing hot sun all day long. And this variety is called Silver Fox. And it seems to be doing quite well. So flowering, again, the bees love it. Next to that, I have penstemon. Not everything planted grows. This Shasta daisy, something happened to, and it just totally cooked and died. Another Shasta, I believe this is a Shasta daisy. That one's doing pretty well. See, it looks like it's getting ready to flower. Behind it, I have an orange zinnia, and I believe I have another one next to that one. So I'm hoping over the course of the summer, these really bulk out and fill in the space nicely. There's a purple zinnia here, and again, same thing. Here's more of my Mount Everest alliums. Now, some of these did flower, and they flower early. So I'm hoping that, again, they survive this year, and then they just get stronger and better for next year. Over here, one of my many large clumps of gladiolus, and come the summertime, these things are just amazing. They'll probably be starting to flower here in the next month or so. I have a before I get to the cannas, this is Sandra Bernhardt peony. I don't know if you guys can really see that in the sea of green here, but it did flower this year for the first time in 3 years. I only got 2 flowers out of it, but it was pretty cool, and I enjoyed it for the few days that they were. A sea of canna here, not sure the variety, but I'm gonna have to definitely dig this up and start moving it because it is getting to be a bit of a thug as it's growing into the space of the gladiolus. And I think some of these gladiolus are gonna have to get dug up this year anyways, but we'll see. Over here, yarrow. It's white, it's a bully, but it's easy to rip out and take care of. Along the front here, I have no idea what these are. I've lost the plant tag, but they seem to be doing pretty well, which I'm pretty happy about, and they are perennial, whatever they are. I think there's some sort of Heliopsis. I'm not sure. Over here, more gladiolus. You can see I planted them in large clumps. So remember before I was talking about moving stuff around? Yeah, well, these aren't going to get moved around, ever. So, amongst the weeds here, I have a couple of blue glow globe thistles. They do themselves look kind of like weeds, but hopefully they will put on flowers this year. I have some sedum daylilies. I have a penstemon, a pineapple lily. In the back, there's another canna, and that's supposed to be summer drummer allium, which isn't doing well. I have a few various other plants and a bunch of weeds in here. There's a clary sage next to some gladiolus. Up front here, another Shasta daisy. This one's already flowering, so that's pretty cool. Then I have a columbine. Mums, all those mums that you get in the fall. I've planted out quite a few, and believe it or not, mums spread. I didn't know that. And it's getting to be a bit of a bully to this German bearded iris here. So that one's going to have to get moved, I think. Next to it, I have a white veronica, and then in front of it, I have a blue veronica. I believe this is Agastache, so if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. Looking pretty awesome. Then here, this is going to be sea holly. So last year I planted it, it did nothing, and I'm not sure if sea holly is biannual. If it is, let me know in the comments below, or if it just took a year to really build itself up to throw up these flower stalks. But hopefully, during the summertime, it puts on lovely blue flowers. Looks like it's getting there. Then I have another rosemary. I'm not sure what the pink is in the back. But then, of course, I have my verbena. More gladiolus, had a little clump of daffodils in the front, and red hot pokers there next to the hose. So there it is. This is my flower garden in the spring of 2024. I'm pretty happy with it so far, and I'm pretty happy with many of the plants that are in here. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning that certain plants are thugs, and I'm learning that certain plants run away from you. And I'm just thinking of tomorrow and next year and the year after that, and again, just trying to picture that 4-foot hedge coming up to help enclose the space and adding in more tall plants. And I have dreams of so many more things going into this garden. I'd like to put a banana tree over on the far side over there. Some of these plants, especially even down by the shady area, will eventually in time get moved over to the more sunny side of the flower garden because the sun sort of tracks this way. And as that crepe myrtle grows up, it's going to be throwing more shade down in that far corner. Some of the plants down there, like the snapdragon, will have to get dug up, moved. The red hot pokers, dug up, moved, just to give them more sun and places where they'll be happier. Some of these other plants, like the cannas, which again are starting to be a bit thuggish, I'll have to dig up and remove, and I won't throw them away. I'll give them to friends or family, that kind of thing. Maybe the neighbor across the street would like some. Many of you who watch this channel, I believe, already have your own established gardens. You've already gone through many of the things that I'm going through as a growing gardener. Some of you may be interested in gardening, haven't taken that leap. Take the leap. It's well worth it. When you get to come out here and you see all the colors and the bees and everything else, it's just a wonderful calming space, and it's fun to turn around and try to mix different things together. Again, there's no rhyme or reason to this garden other than me basically trying to get plants into the ground right now. But over the upcoming years, as the space matures, I'll definitely be moving plants around, and I'm already thinking about clustering certain plants together and doing the whole, height thing where you have smaller plants in the front and bigger plants in the back. And again, I come out here, my mind just starts ticking away here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified when I do post up a new video. Also, please check out all the links below. If you guys have been watching YouTube for a while, you all know the drill. And no Sophie today because she's inside with the wife enjoying the air conditioning. It's starting to get a bit warm again out here. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.